A recent Gallup survey found 62% of Americans feel the two major parties are doing such a bad job that a third party is needed. But at the very same time, nearly 60%, say almost the same amount, say they're concerned voting for that third party candidate, if it existed, would be a waste of their vote and would in fact help their least preferred candidate win. Okay, so on top of that, earlier on CBS Mornings, we spoke with a group of dissatisfied voters. They don't like their options, who all said they wanted that stronger third party option, but then they couldn't agree even a little bit about what that third party should actually represent. Watch. When we tried to build a theoretical platform for just these four voters. Does the American Party want more government or less government?
In my opinion, more government regulations on things like the house market.
More government. We're all in agreement?
My libertarian views want less government in general.
Okay.
They ended up at odds over just about everything.
What's America's role on the world stage?
I think we should be more isolationist.
We got one vote for isolationist.
I disagree.
Okay.
And before long, it was clear.
So ban on drilling, ban on drilling, ban on drilling.
I don't want to say that.
This doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. So what could a different system look like? That is the question. To help us answer that question, we are joined by the star of this conversation, Lee Drutman, a senior fellow at the New America think tank and author of Breaking the Two-Party Doom Loop, and the one man in America who's been talking about this and almost nothing else for many years now. Lee, thank you very much for joining us. First, any constructive feedback on the piece from this morning, which you were featured in, and what's the state of things here on breaking up the two-party system?
Well, thank you, Tony. And it was a great piece, and it was a great example of the challenges in building that third party, which is that this is a big and diverse country. And if there were a third party that could come up with a platform and a program that was more popular than either of the two major parties, that party would have already displaced one of the two major parties. So that Gallup poll gets at this really nice paradox, which is that voters are really frustrated with the two parties, but voters are not idiots. They understand that with our electoral system, voting for a third party is just wasting your vote or possibly spoiling an election. So we are trapped by a voting system that gives us just two parties and makes it really hard for new parties to gain a foothold and actually represent some of that dissatisfaction and give it voice and maybe make space for some constructive compromises on some of the really hard issues.
So, Lee, how do we break the two-party doom loop? I'm thinking about other countries. We've been talking about France this morning. They have multiple parties that are popular. How do we break the loop in this country?
Yeah, well, France has a two-round electoral system. Most countries that have multiple parties use a system called proportional representation, where you have larger districts that elect multiple members. So in our current system, everybody knows when they vote, and they go to the poll, and they have a single district, right? You have one district, and because you only have, one representative, the minor parties just become spoilers, right? So 51% of the vote gets you the same one seat as 100%. Now, imagine if instead of having just that one seat, there were 5 seats. Now you could imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different parties winning, each maybe with 20%. So whereas 20% is a spoiler in that one seat, now 20% gets you one vote. And that means that multiple parties can compete without being spoilers. So this is what many advanced democracies do. They have larger districts and seats are allocated proportionally. So if your party gets 20% of the votes, it should get 20% of the seats. But in our single winner system, 20% gets you the hatred of every voter every other voter.
And so, Lee, in our final moments here, so then the idea would be if you had 5 different potential winners having a fraction of the electorate, that would allow those different parties, those new parties, to gain national recognition, to gain funding, and to potentially, in some future, gain a hold on the White House.
Yeah, I mean, the White House is still a single winner election, presidential election, but you would see different coalitions forming. And you would see a political system that, honestly, is the political system that we used to have in these countries. I mean, we used to have a real multi-party system, something like a four-party system with, liberal Republicans and conservative Democrats alongside liberal Democrats and conservative Republicans. And it's only in the last few decades, as our politics has so thoroughly nationalized and our parties have so fully polarized, that we've become a genuine two-party system. So people think, oh, we've always been a two-party system. Well, sort of, but we've never been a two-party system like the way we are a two-party system today, in which the two parties are just so diametrically opposed. And that is causing so much dysfunction, so much frustration. And American people see this and they want change. And I think it's about time that we changed our voting system so that we could represent all of the great pluralism and ideological diversity of this great, giant country.
Step one after this conversation is to pick up your book, The Two-Party Doom Loop, How to Break It. Breaking the Two-Party Doom Loop. Lee Drutman, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lee. That was today's By the Way.